Hi everyone, it's Don and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Well, we have a bunch of itinerary changes. Guess what? Because of a storm hitting another coast again, we also have Princess Cruises laying out their 2024 Alaska season where they're using almost half of their entire fleet. We also have Carnival canceling an entire cruise. And I have some thoughts on this. I understand, but I have some thoughts on it. And then I have a tip for you when you're putting deposits down on any cruise, on any cruise line, to make sure you're aware of this. Well, as most of you know, I just got back from Australia. I spent almost close to 2.5 weeks there, where we sailed to New Zealand, but our cruise was hit by a cyclone, and we ended up missing 3 of the ports on the itinerary. We had to turn around and head in the other direction to avoid the cyclone, and they got hit hard up in New Zealand. Well, they got hit even when I got back. All of a sudden, they were getting hit again in Auckland, and the airport was closed. There was lots of flooding. They are just getting hit by weather. It doesn't seem to be over because now there is another Cyclone Gabriel heading towards Queensland. And so much so that by the end of this week, it is expected to be a Cyclone 2, which means all the ships in that area have now either turned around or changed itineraries, including the Carnival Luminosa had its entire itinerary change. So did Quantum of the Seas by Royal Caribbean. It's going to do a completely different itinerary as well, and this may affect the next sailings on these ships as well. Basically, any ship sailing in that area of the cyclone is not going to head into that direction. But boy, we thought we had a pretty rough hurricane season this year. They are just getting pounded out there in Australia, New Zealand, in that area. It just seems like one storm after another, after another, after another. I'm not so worried about the itinerary changes and the cruise ship things. We experienced it, no big deal. The big thing is, I'm really hoping everybody there is safe and stays safe. Okay. Next, we also have Princess Cruises, who just announced their 2024 Alaska season. Now, Princess is pretty much one of the dominant cruise lines in Alaska. They're very well known for being Alaska. They have the lodges up there. They have a lot of integration into the community as well. Well, they're putting almost half their fleet out. They have 16 ships, and 7 of them will be going to Alaska, sailing out of Vancouver, Whittier, Seattle, and San Francisco on various different itineraries. Some of them will be going into Glacier Bays, some of them will be longer itineraries, some of them will be northbound and southbound itineraries again. And once again, a lot of people are requesting that I do another group cruise to Alaska. And I can't blame you because my last group cruise to Alaska, the only person who didn't attend was me, because I was stuck in Amsterdam with COVID and not allowed to leave the country and could not make it back to the cruise. So I am now looking at booking another Alaska cruise for 2024 for the group. I will let you know when I plan one out. Don't send me any messages yet. I have no idea what I'm doing. I am going to read them over. I have a ton of work to do, and as you know, as I mentioned this week, I've been sick for like the last 4 or 5 days, and so I'm just getting back on my feet trying to organize a lot of things for the groups this year as well as 2024 itineraries. Okay, but that sounds like that's a lot of ships, right? If you're putting half your fleet there almost, you're committed to Alaska. So I'll give them credit for that. They're going all in on Alaska. Now we have Carnival canceling a ship. I have some questions on it, And I also want to give you that tip about your deposits. But before we get there, let me just invite you to hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. If you want to keep up to date with all things cruising, from tips that might save you money or even a hassle-free refund, if you will, not to mention all the upcoming groups we'll be doing, as well as reviews of the ships and storms that might affect your itinerary. Basically anything that affects your cruise, we'll talk about it here, and maybe hopefully make your cruise just a little easier and maybe even save you some money. Hope you'll join us. Just hit the subscribe button with the notification bell on. Really do appreciate it. Doesn't cost anything, but it really does help the channel out. Okay, Carnival Radiance has a cruise sailing in December 8th. Well, passengers are now being notified, and email is being sent out that, yeah, sorry, your cruise is canceled. Why is it canceled, did you say? Is something happening with the ship? Are they not, going in for refurbishment? Is there a problem with it? Is the itinerary, what's going on? Well, it seems like somebody called Carnival and said, hey, we'd like to book the whole ship. So Carnival said, sure. And they are canceling everybody else's cruise because they now have a fully booked ship. I have some mixed feelings on this. I understand the profit here. Don't get me wrong. I'm a businessman. I know exactly what's going on. Instead of trying to sell this cruise ship out for the rest of the year and hopefully sell it out, they have now guaranteed a price on that ship and sold it. So it's a foregone conclusion. That ship is sold. They've made their money. It's easier for them to refund the ones that are there than it is and make that profit. However, I know it's still a long way off. It's still like 9 months, 10 months off, but I paid for that cruise. And now you're canceling that cruise, not because of ship problems, not because of itinerary problems, not because of storms, but because you want to make more money. And you're canceling my ticket to sell to somebody else. I don't even know if that's legal. I'm no lawyer. But you know what, like, I don't think a hockey team can sell a whole bunch of tickets to people and then say, oh, by the way, we're canceling your ticket because we decided to sell it to these people to make more money on it after they've already sold it to you. I don't think that's allowed. Why is this allowed? I have a problem with this. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. There's lots of time left. It's only a smaller 3-day cruise. It just irks me wrong when people's cruise is interrupted, not because of like a problem with the ship or a problem with anything else, but because the line sold your ticket to somebody else. Let me know in the comment. Do you think that's kind of the right way to look at it, or am I just making a mountain out of a molehill? It just didn't sit right with me. That would be like me holding a group cruise, having 100 cabins, selling them out, and then somebody says, you know what, Don, I'll give you an extra $2,000, and all I do is I call you up and I say, sorry, you can't come on the group cruise. Here's your deposit back because I sold it to somebody else who's willing to pay more. I would never do that in my life, but cruise lines seem to do it all the time. And I understand why. They're making more money. Don't get me wrong. Money is good when you're a company. You need to make money to pay your employees so we get the services we want on the cruise when we go. But once a ticket is sold, unless something's wrong, I think that ticket should be sold. That's just my thought process there. And now I want to give you a real good tip that a lot of people don't realize, and that when you're putting your deposit down and you're putting it down with your credit card, make sure you have a fair amount of time left on that card by the expiry date. So right now it's February. If your card expires in April of 2023, don't use that card as the deposit. Try and use another card if you can at all. Because if something down the road, say in 6 months from now, you decide you can't go, it's a refundable deposit, you want your money back, you ask for your money back, well, your card may now be different. They may have changed the number, the expiry date is different, and it might not get back to you. It might take forever to get back to you. And some deposits are like $1,000, $1,500, depending on your cabin. So it's not like it's a small amount of money sometimes. It's not always a dollar deposit that's going on. So if you see that, the longer you have on the card, the better off you're going to be. I don't know how many times, because I book my cruises like a year in advance for the groups, or at least a year in advance if I can, that people give me a card that expires within the next 6 months or so. And then when they call and say, oh, by the way, my card's no good anymore, it goes to somebody else. Unfortunately, there's nothing anyone can do because by law, the cruise has to try and refund the money to that card first. So they will always try and refund to the original card no matter what. And so if that card is no good, sometimes the bank accepts it knowing that you have a new card with just a new date. Sometimes they refuse it altogether and send it back to the cruise line. At that point, the cruise line takes it and they usually look for the address and send you a notification if they have your email. How would you like your refund? If you don't reply, they're kind of in limbo. Or if you don't request one, they're in limbo. Sometimes they'll just issue you a check and send it to you in the mail. That could be from a year and a half ago, you could have moved. So in all honesty, the best bet is to always have an updated card with as long a time on it as possible. 2 years, 3 years would be perfect, because at least you know you're up to the date of your sale of your card. Now, other things can happen. Your card could get compromised. They issue you a new one. Nothing much you can do about that at all. It's going to be attempted to be sent back to your original card, but it's a whole process to try and get your refund. And I'm just trying to save you a little bit of hassle, because it is frustrating waiting 8, 9, 10 months for banks and cruise lines to do their thing to get you back your money. Well, I hope you appreciate this video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up. Want to see more tips, more tricks, more travel vlogs from around the world? Hit that subscribe button. Till next time, have yourself a safe and a great vacation.